Bobbi DePorter is the co-founder of Supercamp, which is the world's leading summer academic achievement and life skills program for teens and preteens. And she's also the president of Quantum Learning Network. And along with creating the 8 Keys of Excellence character education program, Bobbi is the author of multiple books, including The 8 Keys of Excellence, Principles to Live By. And her latest is Excellence in Teaching and Learning, the Quantum Learning System, which she co-authored with Barbara K. Given. I encourage you right now to go to supercamp.com because, summer camp season is coming up. And also go to 8keys.org. It's a free family program that, we're all working towards getting 50 million teens and preteens to be living these 8 Keys of Excellence, which we'll be talking about with Bobbi today. But welcome back, Queen of Excellence. How are you, Bobbi?
I'm doing great. Yeah, nice to be here.
It's always good to have you on the show. Very excited. We're excited, too. Not only are we going to talk about teen and parent relationships, but we are airing 2 stories, youth success stories for you that you sent us on this mission as part of our Love Your Park story to go find not only stories about, what our community is doing for their youth, but also when youth get involved. And we're finding them, Bobbi. And you know what? I think it's something that we don't hear that often of how much our kids are actually doing out there. We always hear, the millennials this or the kids this, their heads are just stuck to their screens, which we know that is an issue. But we're finding that the youth are actually doing some positive things out there. Wouldn't you agree?
And sitting there and listening to them, it's all about spending time and just giving them your time and attention and the interest, and they just have amazing things to say of what they're doing and mostly, their dreams and what they want to do in life. If you give them a moment to express, it feels like an honor both to sit there and listen and for the youth, for them to have somebody that's interested. It's like, wow, that's really a nice connection.
I agree. And sometimes that connection can get too close, right, with parents. And I don't think you could ever get too close to each other. But there's a balance that has to happen, too, where the dependence on each other has to kind of slip away a little bit, right, with parents and kids.
Well, there's such a thing with, that codependence. It's like I won't make a decision without my parent. Often it's the mom. It could be the dad, but just the mom just saying, what do you think? And the child waiting for the mom, and okay, I'll do that. And I think a big one is the making decisions. It's like the child being codependent and doesn't want to, buy a shirt without checking in what color with the mom sometimes. And it's like they're not giving time and space to make a decision, or they're not being asked to make a decision. A key question could be, what do you think? Back to the child. And then then pause. Because sometimes it's like, what do you think? And then they don't answer, so you just keep talking versus, have that uncomfortable silence for a moment, so it gives them a chance to think and then to speak up. And that is, I think, one of the key things is asking them what they think and then wait and then going with what they want to do if it's appropriate and it's okay, because if they decide something and don't like it later, or they decide, I wish I made another one, it builds strength in them for making future decisions and not worry so much about the small bad decisions. You can usually correct it and move on and learn.
Okay, so that brings us to the 8 Keys of Excellence. These 8 keys: integrity, failure leads to success is the second one. And I think that part of the issue is, I want to start with the integrity part, and I know that Supercamp is, the foundation of the programs of these life skills that, teens and preteens are learning. It comes from the 8 keys. Integrity really is about finding out who you are. And through decision-making process, isn't that finding out who you are? Don't you have to have those failures, those little failures in your decision-making to find out who you are? You need both keys on that.
Yes, it's a lot to reflect on. And when you reflect, you learn more about yourself. Now, when we work with students with the 8 keys and what are your values and what do you want in life and what are your strengths and, what do you want to work on now, the students often say no one's really asked. Plus, I'm really busy in my life, so I don't take time to think about it. But when you start from decisions, when you have this core, we always talk about the 8 keys of excellence of creating this strong core inside of you. You know who you are. You embrace these principles, good principles. So if there's a decision to be made, you look, who am I? What do I believe? What are my thoughts? What are my feelings? What are my principles that, make up who I am? And stop for a moment and then make the decision. It's like that being trained to just stop and reflect, even if it's a nanosecond. You're just, who am I? Okay, now I make that decision. And then once I did make that decision, okay, now I'm ready to act. I'm not going to say, should I, shouldn't I, and get yourself where you won't make any movement, I've reflected, I made this decision. Now I'm committed to that decision. I'll go take the action, and then really reflect on the results. What happened? We always say, I love these 3 questions. I know I've said them before because I can't say them enough, is what happened? What did you learn? What will you do differently next time? And that trains them to really trust themselves. They want to trust themselves like, oh, everybody else knows more than me. My mom knows more than me. My dad knows more than me. I can't trust myself. But to get them in a confident mindset of, I know who I am, I reflect of what I'm going to do, and then I step out and take action. And then comes the ownership key. Taking responsibility for your actions. You take actions, and then you reflect. You take ownership, and then say, how did that work out?
I might have to change.
What will I do differently? So I just love that. And, we assume that students know so much or they already know these things. And when we train them in that, it's like light bulbs go off. It's like, why didn't anybody teach that to me before? And that makes so much sense.
Well, I think it's interesting depending on the age of a person, because it seems, as I look back, that certain eras had certain really strongly held beliefs. How a child was raised in the 1800s is certainly not how a child was raised in the 1900s, for example. So there are certain things that as a child was growing up and learning to think for themselves, things are not always clear. As, this is what my parents think, but I really, down deep, don't really agree with that. Now, how am I going to handle that? And on the parents' side is, well, it's always been done this way, so you need to do it this way too. And modifications of that. So it's an interesting dynamic of communication, which I always feel is key. That I believe when people are open to communication, you can almost solve everything that way if you're willing to listen and talk and attempt to see the other person's point of view. But then, sometimes things get heated and part of your mind seems to turn off of, I'm not going to listen to that, or this is not the way it should be done, instead of like, let me think. Maybe there's a new way to think about this. Maybe we should look around and see if there's a new way of doing things. So it's interesting between people, and I think one of the most difficult and interesting times is when a parent or parents are get to the teenage years, because it seems a little volatile there.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you think that kids, I think the parents know more than me, and then there's this flip that happens at a certain point where, you ain't cool anymore. You know what I mean?
You have other people to talk to and influence you.
So how do we balance that out? You want to catch them before they get to that point, right?
Yes, and it is finding those moments for conversation. That it goes to that listening too. Really, really listening, and we're so used to in our busy lives. Parents are busy, kids are busy. Even when you do get to a meal, certainly the texting and all that, that's a whole thing, not going down that one. But even sometimes the conversations are so you get used to surface conversations that don't really mean very much. So, if you really listen and, ask things about, wow, is all the things of like, what are you proud of? Or, are the things you're grateful for? Or, is there something, there's so much tragedy in the world and they're hearing it, so for parents bringing up, how are you feeling about, the airplane crash? How are you feeling about this statement on climate change? How are you feeling about really heavy subjects and stuff? One is getting to a family dinner. So many families don't have any, and so even once a week, if there could be, and then when you get together, really plant the deeper conversations, because most family dinners, and and you get into a trap of just sitting there and talking about nonsense or arguing or reprimanding or making negative statements, you never do this, or it turns into a negative rather than go around the table, pose a question. What is something really deep, and find out what your family members think about something, because usually you don't know, but it's looking for those opportunities and really listening without combating. When you disagree with something, we're often not listening. We're thinking about what are we going to say to put it down, or whatever, rather than really listening. And people know when you're really listening and interested, and boy, it can change everything.
It really can. I remember watching an interview. I think it was on Finding My Roots. I love that show.
Yeah, it's cool.
I watched the best episode of that last night. That was crazy. But anyway, the Finding My Roots show, it's on PBS, and I think it was Christina Amanpour, because I thought, to me, I always look at these women journalists and what they've had to go through as talk about a commitment, of excellence to their craft, and had to really fight in that world to get ahead and be who they are, and also being a journalist in different worlds and countries, and that may not accept a woman being in that role. And I remember her talking about, becoming a journalist and her interest, of, well, why did this happen? And, the question why to everything came from, I think it was her dad or mom. It was one of her family members sat down and always challenged them to, well, what about this? So every time you sat down at a dinner table, it was time to be alert, to listen, to think, and still enjoy your meal. But it was about that, what are we going to discuss at the dinner table tonight? And it became interesting and challenging in a really positive way. And it made you think throughout the day. You still have fun in life as a kid, but she grew in this way to really challenge things that were going on in the world, made her think, and also take a stand. And I really believe that's where integrity comes from. I think, Bobbi, we do so many interviews with artists and musicians, and it always boils down to this conversation of integrity, and integrity coming from really knowing who you are and being true to yourself and to your craft and your art. And I think it comes down to that. And there's only one way to find out is by conversation, listening to others, taking in things, and then maybe disagreeing sometimes, right? You have to have disagreements. And to say, well, I have a different idea, not necessarily saying you're wrong, I'm right, but having a different thought pattern and having that debate. I think that's what debate teams are so cool at school. Debate teams rock.
Yeah.
They make you think.
Well, it's showing that respect for the other person as well. Like there is a person that holds a belief or thought or an opinion different than mine, and you also don't know what led up to that. What was their upbringing? What were other people's opinion around them? So many youth will take what their parents' opinions are of things and hold those as true till they start growing and start questioning things. But that just
sounds like
respect.
the politics. Politics happens in politics.
Definitely the
that,
politics,
right?
and just issues that are out there. Even a family member thinking about and having an opinion about a relative or something. It's like, oh my God,
everybody needs to stand this way. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Nancy having a political discussion with her friends, young, you know,
I was just thinking of
teenager,
that same thing. Yeah.
And it's just like, well, why do you think that? He goes, well, my family's always been in this belief, and so therefore I am. And Nancy was like,
wow.
well, everything you just said wasn't going with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was in this crossroads, and it was just an interesting discussion because, you know, and I love having conversations with youth because there's fresh ideas. They have this completely different perspective, and I always find that if you just tap them a little bit, here they go. It's just this energy, this ball of energy comes flying out.
It's almost as if nobody's listened before.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, somebody's actually going to listen, and then it all tumbles out. And as the listener, you have to be on your toes to kind of put it all together and make sense of what they just said, because it comes out in kind of disjointed bits and pieces.
Oh, it depends on the.
You know, depending, but it kind of just tumbles out, and then eventually, when they calm down, they can say, what I'm trying to say is this, and so that if you wait long enough, they will have a chance to put it into something more concrete that will make sense to another person. That's what I found anyway.
And asking probing questions. You know, why do you? Can you tell me more? Just tell me more. It's like, whoa, okay, you know.
But where did you learn this fact from? Yeah. Where did you get that information from? I think that's important too, because where are people getting their facts from, or are they facts? You know. So that's an.
And that's a whole other.
Yeah. Right, we're in that world, and I think that's very important right now, because you can't just believe things on the internet or Facebook, and you know, or even what's on TV. I mean, the media in general, you can't believe everything at face value. Have you seen a shift over the years with students coming in, you know, to Supercamp? I mean, you guys have been going since 1982, right?
Yes.
I mean, 80,000 students. It's a lot. Have you seen a shift in how they're taking in media and making decisions from that?
Yes, I mean, they have access to everything in the world, you know, and they're believing a lot of things, or getting strong opinions, you know, that aren't always true or skewed, or, you know, who are the influencers out there that they're following. There's courses out there now just on how to going deeper, especially on the internet, and being able to look at the codes and things that are in there, and looking for, is it credible source or not.
You know, one of the things that I think is interesting, an interesting question, is when somebody has a really strong opinion, then I would like to know from them, what are your personal experiences that have made you form that opinion? Because especially when you're talking to really young people, they really haven't had an experience 9 times out of 10 that has led them to the opinion that they are so strong in. And if you ask it, you don't always get an answer. They just kind of look at you. It's kind of fun. But, you know, because it's kind of the self-realization that my opinion that I'm so strong in actually isn't my own.
Right.
Well, I think they eventually get to their own once they get through that. That's where you have to work out your opinions, and you have to work it out, and that's where that action comes in, and doing things. You know, it's important when, for example, you know, Earth Day's coming up. So, I believe in making sure my corner of the beach is clean. You know, my neighborhood beach is clean. Let's go, you know, do all this, and then it changes once you get out there and actually do that activity. You may turn around and say, okay, no, we need to go far further than that. We need a boat to go out and get the plastic that I see. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, or you know what I mean? So I think your opinion could change once you take that action.
Because now you have something to base it on.
The concrete thing.
In other words, now it's your own, because you took action. You took action, so now you have something to fall back on. My opinion comes from my personal action of doing this, as opposed to my opinion comes from something my parents or my friends or my teacher or somebody said, there's a difference.
Bobbi, how does Super Camp help with that in regards to the
teaching them about making decisions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is that part about really knowing who they are. They teach about their thoughts and beliefs and their core, just really reflecting. And we spend a whole lot of time with them really going deep in who are they. So it's like, wow, they stand up and feel proud about this is who I am, and I'm clear about who I am. So it's a circle from there. Okay, I know who I am. So now when I have to make a decision, I reflect on who I am as a reflection of that decision. Is it aligned? And then it's the, okay, take action, and then what are the results, and reflect on those. So it's that circle of really knowing who I am, and then stop and reflect. Some decisions have to be made right away, and some are longer. Some are very important, and some aren't. If I want vanilla or chocolate ice cream, that's not important, and I make it because I'm standing at the counter. So it's like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about more important decisions in your life that you really reflect who you are.
College.
Yeah,
are you going to go open a business? And what are you going to do from there? And what are you seeing in the students, too? I mean, because I know we've been talking for, 11 years now, and there's been a shift in what the world is doing. It's just completely changed. Are you seeing the youth change a different kind of mindset? Is it college-based? Is it entrepreneurship? A little bit of both? Or, are they going to go on a trip to Europe? Because it used to be everybody went on a backpacking trip to Europe before college kind of thing, or military, So where are they now with that?
I think the majority are really wanting to get into college and university. And 4-year universities are harder to get into and much more expensive and debt. So I think that that's the consideration of, where am I with my resources and my grades and test scores, et cetera? Where can I go? Am I in that area for university? There's a lot. I love community colleges. I think are wonderful. A lot of students headed there. So that, yes, they are making that decision. And certainly the entrepreneurial and the digital age, students are able to have great reach and create a lot of innovation and things on the internet where it's, why should I go to college? I'm doing really well with this and can make a career out of that. So
So the decision making is key, and knowing who you are. I think that is really important. The life skills, because I know, we've talked about this over the years too. But for new listeners, there's that whole part of understanding how to read, make decisions, how to read, listen, take in the information. So when we learn how to study and learn, those are life skills. When we talk about academics, and that is going to take us no matter where we go in life. You're going to need those skills. Those are life skills. Knowing how to take that knowledge in, whether you start a business or go to a community college or whatever you do, you're going to need to take in information in some way, and you need to know how to do that.
Yeah, we talk about excellent learner, and when we teach kids, especially at Super Camp, because we get the immediate feedback, it's always, why didn't anybody teach this to me for? That's a line we hear so much. And then when we talk about what do excellent learners do out in the world, and they say, oh, what a concept. Nobody's even talked to me about that. But for them to really know how to prepare their space, to get in a focused state, to prime their mind, what do I already know, to get, and then focus on one thing and do it. It's like rather than, oh, I've got, 6 things on my homework list and I'm just marching down and doing it without okay, breathe. Get prepared first. Just take a moment to get all what you need in front of you. Think about what you want to accomplish in that time, okay? Now breathe, sit up and breathe to get focused, and then prime your mind. What else do I know? What's this outcome and goal? And then start doing your work and set a timer. Usually it's like, okay, am I tired? Shall I stop? too many questions. Just set a timer for a half an hour. Give it your all no matter what for half an hour, and then stop and assess where you are. So just that's a huge shift for being an excellent learner. And then we also talk to them about what kind of learner they are, how they learn best. There's the visual, auditory, kinesthetic that we all hear about. And it's not like I'm just one or the other, but the concept of it is so powerful to think about where my preferences are, where I feel more comfortable, where it's easiest for me to remember, and knowing that you're all three, so it's not like I'm going to justify and use it as an excuse. Oh, I can't do that. I'm a visual learner, and my teacher lectures. No, it's not about that. But just it adds more to who I am as a learner, who I am as an academic person. And we have many.
Go ahead.
We call them habits. So we want them to habituate just kind of that rhythm of doing that.
It's interesting because when you know who you are, I mean, I know I've shared this before. I remember in South Africa before we went on tour with Nancy's art, and she said, well, you better get the top grades because then you prove to me you've got 1 month, you've got these exams, you better get the top grades. If you can't do that, then we're going to rethink you coming on the tour. This is my opportunity. And it was like I had to put on my big girl pants, Bobbi. And, and I was looking at this going, I want this, and I made it. And all I did was I took the textbooks and rewrote them, and it's kind of like what you do as a writer. You just take things, it's like, okay, I don't like this, I'm going to make it this way, and gave myself my own quizzes. And so I realized I'm more of an investigator. Like I have to look at the puzzle, kind of, just that, person, and I because that was it. I didn't have time for anything other than to achieve my goal, and that was the quickest way. How am I going to get this information in me? Because you may have a teacher that you're not working well with, but how are you going to get beyond that? Because sometimes that's what you have.
But the goal is bigger than a teacher you may not work well with. The goal is yourself.
I'm sorry, but there are teachers that aren't the greatest out there. And there are some fabulous ones, but it is about that individual responsibility. That lesson will stay with me for life, in that no complaints, this is what you want, how are you going to get it?
Exactly.
And that's what I did, and I made it. And I had
that's
empowering. 2.5
you can
years.
feel good about yourself.
Yeah, I wish I knew you then, because I probably really would have aced it.
I totally knew she would, but my struggle as a parent was finding the right way of communicating to her what had to be done for her to get what she wanted.
It was about going through the schools and saying, hey, I'm taking my kid out of class.
Because I had to take her out of school, and everybody
and
freaked, and I had to homeschool her, which was fun because I really didn't. She took on the task of homeschooling herself because I knew that she had the ability to read, and she knew math, and she knew how to write. And I'm like, you really don't need me to teach all the time, not what's already in a book that you can read.
But we had discussions.
We had guidance and discussion.
And we went to the places that I was learning about.
And this is how Lisa brought me up.
But this is the thing. It's about getting to that point, and I think that's what's so great about what you're doing is having at least opening people's minds of that learning. The actual process of learning is a lifelong skill. This will take you anywhere, because now, with the magazines, we'll have a deadline, and you get to this freeze point. You'll freeze, and then you go, how are you going to do this? And then as soon as you sit down, and it's true, you have to have the timer, and we have to have deadlines. I love deadlines. I hate them, but I love them. And if you have that, then all of a sudden, zoom, you're in. And it's like, okay, we're going to get this, we're going to do this, this is the plan of action. And then once you have that plan, you can just run. This is it, key of excellence. That's it. Yeah.
It is. It is this is it. It's taking responsibility or ownership for what you're doing. And then it's a certain mindset. Okay, I've got my mind, it's positive, I'm going to do what I need to do.
It opens doors. I know as being a painter, a blank canvas is an exciting thing, but there's always that freeze moment where you're like, what the heck am I doing? What am I going to do with this?
You argue with your ideas.
Yeah, now if somebody commissions a painting, that's actually easy because somebody's telling you, I want this, this, and that. You're like, oh, okay, fine. But when you just go to paint something, you're inspired by something, and there's this freeze moment. Here's this big blank white thing until you can flip your mind and go, I can do anything I want with this big blank white thing. Let me go. And if I don't like what I started with, I can paint over it.
That's great.
True.
Yeah. I love this. Bobbi, I do want people to know, because it is that time. When is the last point that people can register for Super Camp? And I want to explain, really how that works, because it's neat what you're doing, and it's all over the country and all over the world. Super Camp, everyone can do this. So, what is the deadline? Are there deadlines for different places?
There is, and our first camp starts the end of June, and that one still has, and it's at Stanford University, and it still has places available. So we keep it open until it's full. So it's not like a deadline date to enroll, but enrolling early, then you have more chance to get your dates and place that you want. So we're real excited with the middle school program, high school program. We have leadership program. We have for college age as well. So.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Oh, cool. And so there's where are the places that are happening in this country this year?
We're at Stanford for the 28th year, I think it is, which is really cool. Yes. And then we'll be at Cal State Long Beach, and back east we'll be at Villanova University. And then in addition, we're in 14 countries. So
wow.
That's so cool.
14 countries. That's amazing. That is amazing. And tell everybody your first country, because I still get a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's Moscow.
I know. There you go. Just go there.
Yeah, and it was the Soviet Union then. We were in Moscow, but it was the Soviet Union back then. It was
wow. Yeah, that's right. Back then. So do you get students coming to America, from different countries, and do Americans ever go over to the other countries?
Yeah, we get a lot coming in from other countries. I know it was years ago I counted over 80 countries, so I'm pretty sure we're over 100 now. But, yes, they fly in from a whole lot of countries that come all over the world. Last year I met a family from Mongolia. It was like, wow,
cool.
Okay. So we have families from all over that fly in for the program. Most of our international programs are for most of the students come from the country it's in. But students can fly over and join them as well. We have one in Italy, and I think that's a favorite one for people from other countries to come into and go. It's in Tuscany,
Oh, nice.
Not a bad place for the parents to hang out for the week.
Hello.
Wine tasting. And kids are off at camp, and I'm going wine tasting as a parent.
But how cool is that for the kids to meet people from other countries? That's amazing.
That's what and I think
I love that.
And you're creating these opportunities that just the whole world needs education. I just want you to take over the education for the whole world. Can I just create a role of that? We need an international.
We're working on it.
I know, because this is so important, because there's just the opportunity. Education is key to everything with kids, and and for adults. Do you see adults, the parents, change from their kids going into Super Camp and learn?
Oh, after the program?
Yeah.
After the program, the students attending Super Camp definitely influence the parents and their family. Absolutely. Because the parents, we do a parent workshop at the end of every session, and we teach them some of the skills, and then we encourage them we give them a parent handbook with skills that their child learned, and encourage them to make it a family event to habituate the skills. Reading skills that we teach at Super Camp, those are great reading skills for any age. And practicing 5 minutes a day, or just being conscious of how you're reading, they can apply it immediately, just like I'm conscious about what I'm doing. And then it habituates over time. So getting the parents practicing some of those, it sends a message. This is important. So the kids will see that.
And becomes a dialogue.
And they can talk about it.
A family dialogue.
There's when a child wants to talk to a parent and the parent is, I have no idea what you're talking about, that's a real bad space to be in sometimes. As a parent, you need to be able to say, okay, I really don't know about that, but I'm going to find out and I'll be right back.
I think speak with a good purpose is a good one.
Yeah, you really and I mean it can happen to any parent where the child is now learning something that as a parent you never heard of or you've forgotten.
And we teach wonderful communication skills. And there's a process. One is visible communication, rather than asking these half-assed questions of, hey, what are you doing tomorrow afternoon? The child is going, is this going to be something I want to do or not want to do? So it's like, say the whole thing. But also if there's an upset, I'm upset about you for something. There's a process we go down, and you can recognize somebody's doing that, and it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, you're really respecting me and giving me all the information, and you're really telling me how you feel and think, and so we can come to a better conclusion rather than just yelling at each other.
Exactly.
And then also the other thing is with Super Camp, the teens, and you got preteens, they're all going, and college age, like you're saying now too, going and staying on a campus together, right? And so they're learning, hey, we're going to be stepping outside our comfort zone, because it could be, across country, hey, I'm going back east because I haven't been there. And then they go to this whole new spot, new things. Like I know you've said on shows before that if they're going with their best friend, it's like you're going to go meet new people. You're going to be, you're going to learn how to get your legs, stand up. And get out there into the world. So doesn't that immersion help them make decisions and start to get into that process immediately?
It gives them confidence, that, I can do it. So other things that are coming up in their life, or even when they start college, it's like that's a pretty, could be scary for a lot of people, being away from mom and dad, being away from home, being with people I don't know.
Wow, I love it. Everyone, supercamp.com, check it out. And the 8 Keys of Excellence, the free family program working towards 50 million. How many million are in now? We need 50.
I know, so, we're getting close to 30.
30.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, we're getting back on the road. Well, we are on the road, and so come on, people. 8keys.org. There's a program for schools. I look at nonprofits that are out there. We're finding out there's so many education programs, even programs here where they're teaching kids how to grow their own food. And I'm thinking, well, bring in the 8 keys for that too, because it's all connected, So I see that the 8 keys could be a dialogue even in, if you're a company that hires the youth, bring that in so that everybody's on that same dialogue between the adults and the teens. I think that's something difference. Too. Yeah, it does. So everyone, supercamp.com, 8keys.org. Also, if you go to blendradioandtv.com, we're so proud to have Bobbi as our education expert, and you can read articles from the past that she's done over the years and listen to past interviews as well on all kinds of topics that relate to family, relate to youth success. Basically, if Bobbi is youth success, period. That's it. It is. It's about that. And, we always like to play music for you, Bobbi.
Yes, so I appreciate it. I like the kind of music you select.
Well, Nicki, Kris, you've been on many shows with her, and she's also done, the 8 Keys of Excellence for, picking up song lyrics, and, so we always like to play it. But she wrote this for her kids, and it's an album. It's called Dream Big. And I do want to tell everybody she's got a brand new album out right now called Heartbeat, and it's awesome. But we want to play this because it is, when you're thinking about, okay, what happens after high school? Now what? And there's that pressure, and it's like, oh, I really want to be this, but I want that. This song, it's called Dream Big, Aim High, and I think you always talk about the ownership key of excellence of are you above or below that line? And I like hers where aim high.
Yes.
Go for it.
I like that.
This is the song today, and everyone, you can keep up with Nicki at NickiKris.com, and that's NICKIKRIS, because we're on an educational show. I'm just promoting that I can spell sometimes. But thank you so much, Bobbi. Always such a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy your Love Your Parks tour stories on youth success after this segment as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You take care.
Yes, you too.
Bye.
Two little boys running wild outside, not a care in the world. Playing with their friends, let the fun begin. Fantasies unfurled. A bucket, some string, and someone to sing. Got a melody in my head. Mama, this is what I wanna be someday. This is what I said. You gotta dream big, aim high, be yourself and shoot for the sky. You can be anything you wanna be. All you have to do is believe. Take pride in yourself and open each door. Hold your head up high and see what's in store. It's your life to choose no matter what you do. All you need to know is that I'll always love you. Do-do-do-do. Baseball, football, or hockey net, which sport shall we play? We love them all, so grab a ball and throw it right this way. The team's made up, we're playing for the cup.